Hey guys, it's your boy Sir Seezus, and this is episode 79 of the Seezus Show. Just want to thank you guys for constantly following me, spreading the love. I appreciate that. And if you are new to the show, make sure to subscribe on all platforms. I'm available damn near everywhere. So before I get into today's hottest topics with episode 79, I want to rehash with you guys episode 78. So on episode 78 of the Seezus Show, it was me and my brother, D Sharp, and we discussed the hottest topics in the NBA, which were episode 5 and 6 of the Jordan documentary, David Blatt trying to take shots at LeBron James, and then also Isaiah Thomas comments on players today dominating or just being a part of his generation as well too in that era. So hope you guys enjoyed that last episode. If you haven't checked it out, definitely check that out. And, we're going to get started with today's episode. So today, my boy Traded XXIV returns, my co-host. So let's get straight to it. We are back with greatness. No other than Traded XXIV, the co-host. So what it do, baby?
What's popping? What's good? You already know I'm social distancing like a little baby. You already know. Man, it's good to be in the spot as always, which is the same spot I've kind of been in. It was dope. Mother's Day weekend. That's like my favorite holiday, man, because so many influential women, definitely influential Black women, that have fed, raised me, influenced me, guided me. So, man, Mother's Day is one of my favorite holidays. I love giving back to the mothers.
Were you able to spend time with your mother?
Yes. People were like, "What you do for your mom?" I went down there. My grandmother stays with us, so we were just kicking it, chilling, helping out with some stuff around the house. And I just like begged her to cook me some fish, fry me some fish.
Oh, I think
Like,
did you post it on your story?
I either put that or my man's made some like collard greens. So he's been like in
Oh
the
yeah,
house.
I saw the collard greens. I saw the
Yeah,
collard greens.
my man's made some collard greens, man. He's been in the house chefing it up. Shout out Sel, man. He's becoming way too domesticated. We got to get out this quarantine soon because he's losing his mind. So he's like taking up the chef mantle. But yeah, my mom cooked some fish, man. Oh my gosh, like something about when your mom cooks something. It don't matter how simple it is, it goes crazy. So I enjoy being home. I'll probably head back sometime this week, while we ain't got too much stuff to do. So yeah. How
Nah,
about you?
I feel that. Well, you already know my mom's in Orlando, so
Yeah,
just FaceTime with her, called her, text her, made sure I had a post and whatnot. Something's
yeah.
on the way for her as well too, so that should be exciting. But she kind of blessed too. So last week, Thursday night, she overnight shipped some Liberian food to us. So
Whew.
I have a lot of food in the archives right now in the freezer, so I'm pretty excited. So
Hey,
that was an early little Christmas gift. So shout out to
that's
moms.
love.
Yeah, just this week on Mother's Day, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to all the mothers and single mothers who have put up with all of our BS throughout the years and have just
Hmm.
propelled us to be great men and women as well too. So hopefully we can carry that on and always continue to inspire people as well too. So
Of
I
course.
definitely want to show some love to them as well too. But you ready to get into today's hottest topics?
Oh, let's do it. Hey.
All right. So episode 7 and episode 8 of the Jordan documentary aired last night. So hopefully most of you guys have seen it. I know most of you guys have seen it as well too. That's the only thing to damn near watch unless you're
On
doing
TV.
watching some reruns and whatnot. But we'll break down episode 7. Then after that, we'll break down episode 8, and then we'll get into the miscellaneous. So with episode 7, it started off with the pre-playoffs, April 21st, 1998. And basically the GM Jerry Krause, they were like, hey, you know, are you surprised that the team is still intact? Given that you basically stated that Phil Jackson won't be coming back. And do you think there's like any backstabbing going on and whatnot behind the scenes? And he just got real mad in the beginning, and he was basically saying like, yo, these guys are professionals at the end of the day. So I'm kind of offended that you would even say that there's backstabbing going on and whatnot, which is kind of awkward. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I agree with him as well too. Like obviously, he kind of prematurely broke up the historic Bulls team, and Phil Jackson and all those other guys left as well too. But at the end of the day, it is a business. You got to be professional as well too. And it seemed that although they didn't have a good form of chemistry with the players, as far as like the players coaching, the coaching staff, and the GM. they still went about it, in the right way as well too. So wanted to bring that up as well. But after that, it was a 1998 Eastern Conference Round One versus the Nets, and everyone was basically saying that this was going to be um, a sweep, and basically they were saying to lose the game. Michael Jordan said to lose the game, the team would have to fall asleep, basically. Um,
Yeah.
but Jordan played great. He played real good against the Nets. I think they kind of gave him a scare a little bit, but he ended up winning. And they basically said, let me see here, that in the playoffs, what Jordan loved about the playoffs the most was that although that, the regular season, kind of like what LeBron's been saying as well too, the playoffs is when it matters the most. This is when the best teams of the best teams, the creme de la creme, all come together for one
Hmm.
common goal to win that championship as well too. So I kind of felt like after he won that one championship, I just felt like you could really tell he was after he three-peated that first time, you could really tell he was emotionally and physically drained as well too. Just
Of
going to
course.
three straight finals appearances as well, kind of sucked as well too. But after that, they said in June, the '93 Bulls beat the Suns 4-2. So basically, like I said, they three-peated, and basically they were saying that they kind of knew that he was edging towards the retire because they said the previous year with the '92 Olympic Dream Team, one of Jordan's assistants or whatever basically told him that, like, yo, like, after I win this championship or at least try to compete, like, I'm going to be exhausted. I'm going to be pretty much tired. So people kind of knew beforehand, but it was kind of shocking. Like I said, he went through three straight finals appearances. And one thing that really sucked was his father,
Yeah.
which got to me a lot as well too. So they're basically saying on July 23rd, 1993, he was supposed to get picked up. And Michael Jordan, his personal assistant, his name was George, went to go pick him up, and basically he was MIA. So they figured he was probably with his friends, just arriving a little bit late. And basically, they came out with a report, and he was missing for about 3 weeks. And basically,
Yeah.
a car was found, hidden in Fayetteville as well too. And then they said a couple weeks later, August 13th, the body was found in the creek. It was pulled off the road, and they assumed that he went to take a nap, and he awakened, and basically, just got shot. So basically, two men were charged for the murder, um, and it kind of really changed the perspective of MJ. Like I said, that more than likely was why he retired early as well too. And I remember when he was at the funeral, one thing he said was his death, or his father rather, always taught him that you basically have to always take a negative and turn it into a
That's
positive.
positive.
And that kind of helped him get through the tough times as well too. But it was kind of some bullshit how, and I'm happy social media wasn't a huge thing. Social media wasn't a huge thing back then, but it's kind of some bullshit how it seems like the media, whenever you're at your pinnacle, whenever you're trying to be great, they always want to try to add some sort of stain to your legacy. So they were trying to
Hmm.
come up with different theories, and they were basically saying like, "Yo, we know Jordan had a gambling problem, so maybe gambling is linked to his dad's death. Maybe he owed a debt or something like that. That's why his dad died." Like, no, like sometimes things just happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's out of your control. Now, I kind of think that Michael Jordan's dad was very well known since he was always in the scene, but I don't think gambling had anything to do with it. I really think that, he may have pulled over, got tired, took a nap, and people were aware of who he was, and they basically probably tried to rob him or something like that, which was unfortunate as well too. But how do you feel about, his dad, passing away, what the media portray with him, and just how father figures are so important in people's life. Even if you don't have a father figure, some form of a father figure should be important.
I think for Jordan, it was like his rock in a lot of ways. I mean, we don't get. I mean, I guess we know from the stories, just like a peek into his like personal life. But even still, there's like a lot of like stuff that's shrouded in mystery. And somebody that's ultra competitive. That I was watching the docs, and what was super evident is that Jordan never wanted to see like let people like know he bled. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody was like, yo, that's Black Jesus. It was the God complex, the God mentality. And not that Jordan maybe have had it, but when it came to competitiveness, he had that. So when you see, what might be a driving force in his life, what might be his backbone, a rock, that some type of thing that kind of connects him to human connectivity and achievement, saying, oh, well, I see him do all the spectacular things, but this guy has a father. It could be the greatest whatever in the world, but this dude has a father and that connects him to all of us. Even on the basketball court, we know we can't touch him at all. So seeing that, and you kind of like having an open wound as far as the media attacked with it. Like at first it was like, oh, his father's missing. Oh, then it came to like his gambling debts, which I have my theories and stuff on everything coming to Chicago and him retiring for a short period of time. But let's be clear, he was emotionally exhausted. That was the tipping point. That was the cherry on top. Like, yo, like imagine going back to back to back and one of the best sports league in the world. And it's not easy because one, he was late 20s at that point. He was late 20s because he took a year and a half off for basketball, but he was approaching 30. And, you know, your body peaks around 26,
Yeah, I think they say you're
27,
in your
20,
prime from like 28 to like 33 or something like that.
yeah. Your body's primed right there. So he's getting up there, but he's been playing at top of the top in basketball, being one of the most athletic sports you can play. Like he was done. So his father going out was already an emotional thing, and then he probably very much associated his father with winning, with basketball, with greatness. You know what I'm saying? Like he from a child, and the first that pic of him we had his first was crying with the first trophy, and his father was right there holding him too. Like he probably associated championships in basketball with his father. So speaking just to that is like, yo, like when you have somebody that's that great, that influential, that's been there in your life, you associate with them with so many things, and it probably feels super empty. And I know it feels empty, to make it even a smaller thing. So we'll go back to fathers, but follow me here. It's like, you have a girl, you used to do like that one thing with your girl. You used to go to that one restaurant with your girl, and then y'all not together no more. You know what I'm saying? And you can't even go to the restaurant. You can't even eat the same stuff. You know what I'm saying? You're like, yo, what the heck? So equate that and then take it leaps and bounds and multiply it by 10. With his father, he was probably done with everything. On top of media following him around all the time. We saw in the earlier docs, he was like, yo, like I can't even be myself. He's like, you don't want this life. You don't want to be me. You know what I'm saying? You like people love seeing me, but they don't want to be me. So all that probably came to a head, and it's very unfortunate how his father had to die through weeks of searching for him, of him, being uneasy. They kind of knew what happened after a while, but through weeks went by, and then too all these different theories, people talking on your name and talking on your character and how that would be anything you had to do with your father meeting his untimely demise is just it's sick. So prayers to anybody that has lost a loved one or a father figure, but those are really rocks in your lives. Definitely us coming from a community where the family nucleus doesn't always look like that. It doesn't always look like that. So when you do have those people in your life or somebody that's been there from your birth on, it's super special. It's super special. So I think the media mismanaged it. If you did have theories and stuff like that, why would you put it out then? But I mean, I guess red cells. If it bleeds, it reads. So that's my take on that.
Nah, that was fire. I enjoyed that. I felt like a little kid just like listening to class getting lectured. That was good, man. But yeah, so he shortly retired after. And it seems like with all this scrutiny, that came with everything, it's kind of like they only really appreciate you when you're gone as well too. So it's a
Yeah.
shame that it took for him to. It's a shame that it took his father's death for people to appreciate him even more as well too. So
Mm-hmm.
he said that once he retired, I remember when he gave that press conference as well too. They said it basically felt like damn near the Last Supper when he was up there with
Yeah. Everybody
everybody.
up there.
But he said he was at peace because, like you said, what you harped on, like he associated everything with his father. I think he was one of the
Mm-hmm.
first few people to three-peat. I don't think Magic and Larry Bird did that. So he was like, I kind of did what I had to do. Like, there's nothing really else to prove. Only thing I
Yeah.
got to prove is just to add more stats to it if I want to get more championships to it as well too. So people try to come up with speculation saying, and I used to think about it too, that David Stern, because of the gambling, they basically told him to go on an 18-month hiatus and whatnot. But David Stern cleared the air and basically said no. And when you think about it, it makes sense. Like, why would your top tier player who's bringing in damn near most of your revenue, why would he want to suspend it when he's the breadwinner? So that didn't make any sense to me, and that
Do
was just kind of
do you
dumb.
want a pod? Do you want a pod, or do you want to like you want to just because I got a theory. So you finish what you're saying, and then I'll
Mm-hmm.
give it that to you
Mm-hmm.
in small annotated notes. But go ahead.
Yeah. So, after that, he ended up playing baseball for the Chicago White Sox. But I think he went to the minor leagues, and I think the Chicago White Sox had like a subdivision team, which was in Birmingham, Alabama. Um, so basically, he played baseball growing up. I think till about the age of 17, but he always enjoyed baseball. His dad was one of the first people to get him into it, but he gravitated towards basketball as well too. So a lot of people are saying like, yo, I don't really think you can do this because you've basically taken off almost 15 years without playing basketball from basically the year from being like 17 years old to 31 years old. You haven't played as well too.
Yeah.
So I felt like baseball for him was, he probably always told his father he was gonna try to be in baseball in some shape or form. So I think he did that for his father, and I also think that it helped him fill the void because, like you said, he was already exhausted from basketball, so he wanted just to change the scenery as well too. But while he was
Uh-huh.
playing baseball, they said he played pretty well. Had a 13-game hitting streak, and I think he hit a .202 batting average. I don't really know what that means because I didn't play baseball as well too. And then after that, I guess while he was playing baseball, there was some form of a lockout, or not a lockout, what's it called? They went on like a strike. I didn't really go too much in depth on what the strike was about, but that kind of ended Jordan's baseball career. And I think
Yeah.
one day he happened to walk or call Scott Burrell, one of his old former teammates, and basically Jordan was trying to get him to hang out, and then Scott Burrell was like, "Yo, just come to the gym. Like, let's just let's just go hoop." And then while they're driving to the gym, Scott Burrell's basically like, "You've been retired for about damn near 18 months. I'll wash your ass right now." And I guess something just switched with him.
Yeah.
So Jordan basically showed up to practice for like 2-3 weeks stint, and then after that, he basically just said, "Yo, I'm about to come back." Um, so it was kind of crazy because they're all like, the press was like, all right, like how are we going to deliver this message to the general public? And they wrote a couple different type of way. They wrote in a couple different type of ways, and he's like, yo, like just give me the pen. I'm gonna write what I gotta write. And he was just on some gangster ass shit. And he was just like, I'm back, which was
Yeah. That was
so, which
dope.
was so dope, which is so dope. But before we get into him coming back, tell me about your theory of what you think
Okay.
happened.
All right. All right. So I was talking about this with my man Solich yesterday. Because we have he's been in the house way too much, so he's been watching alien documentary conspiracy theory stuff. But that's neither here nor there. But um, we won't get into because it's such a sensitive topic, so we won't get into his father thing. But we will get into the fact that Jordan was the ultimate competitor. If there is uh any smudges to his resume, to his character, to his possibly moral compass, making him human to
Mm,
the rest of the world that somebody can write about, it would be the gambling stuff. And it sucks because it rivals what he does. You know, you always take a chance when you're playing a sport, and you're always being competitive. Now that has turned into somewhat, it turned into his ultra aggressive competition, and it branched off into gambling for Michael Jordan. Okay,
mm,
uh, and we how in the earlier episode they were talking about, before games and things, he was out on golf courses, gambling with certain people, and he owed somebody like he had $1 million debt or tab on somebody. Now, I'm always, when it comes to media and it comes to looking into stuff, I always say, all right, the surface is what they let you record. So if there's the truth, then there's Uh, there's one story, there's the next story, then there's the truth, right? It's what's reported on or what's told, what's reported on, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. All right. So it's like, all right, we can clear $1,000 gambling debt. Go ahead. Say that Jordan's cool with us saying $1,000, I mean, $1 million gambling debt. If you're a big time gambler, Mike had plenty of money, which who knows, he might have been worth that, but maybe not had it to give. He might have got in too deep with the wrong people and said, all right, they said, okay, $1 million, what you can see on a documentary, but it could have been way further more than that. On top of that, Mike treated the league like he was a human playing against ants. All right. So, and I'm not saying this is the clear thing to what happened. All right. And I'm gonna get off of this. I'm gonna wrap it up in 1 minute. 1 minute.
No, go
I'm
ahead.
not
Take
saying
your
this is the
time.
clear thing to what happened, but imagine a scenario where Mike was in his game line, but he was maybe betting stuff other games and with the big dogs and stuff like that. Like, all right, well, I think Western Conference is gonna happen, whatever like that. I'll put my money for it or whatever like that. So he's playing his game, dominating the games that he's in, but he's gambling and doing different stuff with the league game. So I think David Stern, it probably came to a point where he was like, yo, people are slowly uncovering this. We need to nip this in the bud for a PR thing. So Jordan, like, yo, like, I do not want to let you go. I do not want to let you go. But I need to do something. On top of that, Chicago. Baseball is the biggest, They'd be like, oh, why is baseball so interesting? Because people bet on baseball all the time. It's big old money in baseball. And if I dare say so myself, there was probably plenty of mob money in baseball, and probably through some connections, somebody was like, "Yo, Michael owes some money. All right, like, what are we gonna do about that?" They're like, "Yo, like, I don't know. He's like our star, whatever like that." They probably sat down at the table, like I said, it was the last supper. They probably all sat down at the table, was like, "Yo, look, you owe this person money. All right. I don't want to suspend you because that's bad for the league. You are the face of basketball, but you also owe all these people obligations, stuff like that." And baseball was probably like, well, come play for us. Come play for us. And Michael probably was like, yo, look, I'm kind of getting emotionally drained from basketball. Well, come play for us for 2 years. Say you retire, come play for us for 2 years. Do you feel like going back to the league? Whatever. Because he kept saying, like, well, if I come back, maybe. So he probably knew there was a time limit on how long he was going to be in baseball, right? So he's like, if I come back, I come back. So they threw him out there. And what's a big thing is they talked about it in episode 7 of the documentary. He was selling out arenas in Alabama. There's no professional sports teams in Alabama, no major. Like, he's selling out arenas in Alabama. That's so crazy. You know what I'm saying? Think about what that does for the league's revenue for MLB. You're trying to spark it up. I guess Bo Jackson did it, but Michael Jordan, dude. So I think it was a balance of a few things when he had to go. So and then it officially, his time was spent once they had a little lockout, the replacement player thing, and they were like, you know what, you made us enough money, bro, go, because the NBA needs you. So when you're a moneymaker, you're gonna go where there's money to be made. And David Stern was probably like, look, you got him for a little bit, we'll cover the rest of his tab. Come let him play basketball again. It's gonna be big. And I think it kind of went something like that. I don't know all the details, but that's my theory for that. And this is a theory. This is a theory, guys. This is just me reading way too much between the lines. I'm not trying to offend anybody. Not, it's just that's what I so that's
No,
my 2 cents.
that's interesting. I mean, that could have happened. It's not impossible. It's definitely very probable. But I mean, no one really know. But
Yeah,
that's an interesting spill on that, because it kind of makes sense. You know what I'm saying? If you put them all together and link them all together.
yeah.
So that was dope.
Thank you.
But yeah, so that season, while Jordan was playing baseball, that's when the Bulls, try to see what life would be like without him. So that
Yep.
October '93 season without Jordan, Steve Kerr, Scottie Pippen, and other people basically said, like, Jordan won't there anymore. And with Jordan, like, although he was very great, he was kind of an asshole to be around as well too. Like, obviously he demanded the most out of his teammates, but there comes a time when you should, if you're a leader, you should figure out a way to, on a one-on-one basis, figure out a way to best communicate with each individual player. And I felt like Jordan kind of generalized that, and he was very
Okay.
demanding, which worked because he ended up winning 6 championships, and his teammates ended up winning multiple championships as well too. But they said when
Yep.
he left, there was kind of that sense of calmness, and that's when Scottie Pippen actually eased into being that leader on and off the court as well too. And they said with Scottie, you know, he was softer. He was easy to communicate with as well too, and he was one of those guys when you're feeling some type of way, he put his arm around you, and you got and they would talk it out. So they actually did great that year as well too. Like I said, Scotty was one of the runner-ups for MVP. They won over 50 games as well too. That's when we got to see the emergence of Tony Kukoc, who finally came into the league as well too, and they were on a roll. And there was one thing that they mentioned that I think against the Knicks in the I don't know if it was the semis or the conference finals, but they were down 2-0
Semis, I
versus
think.
the Knicks. Yeah, semis. They were down 2-0 versus the Knicks, and Phil Jackson noticed that, during the regular season, Tony Kukoc, had the hot hand, hit a couple of game winners, which was crazy. And he was like, yo, we're about
Hmm.
to drop this play. We know you're about to get all the attention, Scotty, but let's give the ball to Tony Kukoc to try to seal this game. And, I think it's a combination of him finally being the guy and, people in the media probably always follow him saying, they probably in a way always kind of try to bring up Michael Jordan because he's not there anymore.
Yeah.
So added pressure for him. He's kind of like, all right, since he's gone, I'm the guy now, so I want to take the last shot. So when Phil was like, yo, you're not taking the last shot, this plays is after Tony Kukoc, it was just wild how he just got mad and he sat on the bench, and then they were basically like, yo, are you with us or are you not? Like, what's good with you? And he was like, nah, I'm
Yeah.
not with y'all. So he literally almost jeopardized their series. I mean, they ended up losing the series, but it's crazy that Tony Kukoc ended up hitting that jump shot to, win the game, and they eventually tied it, but then they eventually lost the series as well too. But how do you feel about that whole situation? Because they said afterwards, they said it was kind of unlike Scotty to do that based on
Yeah.
his actions, around the team for however many years in that season as well too. But then they said one thing that kind of shifted everything was Bill Cartwright gave a speech on him quitting, and he's like, yo, Sky, like, this is kind of unlike you. And I think he like kind of shed a tear and whatnot. And like I said, they ended up winning 7 games, but that was kind of crazy. What were your thoughts on that whole situation with Scotty? Do you think he was right to kind of quit on his team for that small amount of time?
Well, so I'm giving a lot of game right now. So, uh,
We're here for
for
all
me,
of it.
yeah, man. This is the one. So this is the analogy. I would call it the analogy of the two parents or the two leaders. So I kind of formed this last night when I was watching it, and kind of when you like were going over.
I'm
Listen. Like,
listening. I'm
all
listening.
right. So think about it. Think about it. So we've all in our lives, either from a leadership standpoint, and parents are leaders, so or the coaches. So analogy the two parents or the two leaders, right? So you have one that you get wreck, whatever like that, or even further along in your life, a boss. Um, and then you have another one who's also in the same position. So say option 1A, right, is the one that's always on your back, right? Demanding stuff for you. Like, yo, we can't breathe. Like, yo, this is not really fun. Yo, like, what's going on? Like, they don't really connect with me like I want to be connected with. Then two, you have the softer, the more, oh, like, well, I got you. Come on, like, we'll get better. We can do it. We can get it done. All right, cool. Believe in yourself. You can do something wrong. Go ahead, pick it up. Let's do it. Let's do it again. Everything's gonna be all right. 1A, 1B. Okay. Uh, and coming down the stretch, right? So this is in this scenario we've seen with the Bulls that leader 1A, the one that's always on your back, demanding stuff from you, that results. What's the end goal? The end goal is to win a championship, or maybe what was the end goal in your life? The end goal was to, get good grades, get into college, get a great job, be disciplined, this, that, and there, whether life within itself. And then two, so say 1A leaves, all right?
Yeah.
Something happens, people break apart, whatever, and then boom, you get to the other person, and then it's like, all right, let's go. I believe in you. I feel a lot more comfortable with you. Let's see what happens. And you're achieving with this person, and you get to a certain point, like we'll tie it back into the Scottie Pippen scenario. You get to a certain point, and they kind of crumble, or the things. I don't think Scotty crumbled. I think he let the ego in the moment get the best of him, and he was like, "No, I'm not doing this." Meanwhile, the whole thing, your whole angle for this team was, "All right, we're gonna do it together. I'm not gonna chastise you. We're gonna be together no matter what." And the
Mm-hmm.
time when he was supposed to be together no matter what with them, the pinnacle of that, he opted out of that, right? And everybody has their moments, but he opted out of that. So they're looking at it like, yo, what the? On top of that, Phil Jackson drops the play. Tony Kukoc hits the shot like he has been hitting game-winning shots a lot of the season. He probably, I think he said he hit like maybe this wasn't a number. I don't know why this came to my head,
I
but he
think it
hit
was
like
like 3 or
13
4
or
at
so.
least.
Oh, 3 or 4, 3 or 4. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So, but he hit 3 or 4, and then boom, and then everybody's looking. So the deeper issue is, all right, Scotty, you want to be the man, all right? You want to be the what? You want to be the star player, but
Throwback.
yeah, you want to be a man. And the man that just left was tyrannical. He was on everybody's ass, but he got it done. He never left in any scenario, and they knew he was the go-to guy. You and it comes in like this. All right, so he's upset because he should be the go-to guy. That's where the crossroad meets. Is like, yo, so Michael would have been the go-to guy. I should be the go-to guy. I should be taking a shot. Everybody knows that. But even then, you're like, all right, I'm out. Even to not be in the game, in the play, I'm out. It's like, all right, one, you're not the go-to guy, like the coach just said. Two, you're gonna leave us when times get hard. So maybe all the hard ass stuff and all the hard getting on our back, picking on us, teasing us, really just digging us down into the dirt, just the mental toughness that Michael was trying to bring. Maybe that was all worth it. We hated it, but maybe that was all worth it because Michael got it done. We realized we couldn't get it done with Scotty, and that's what the tale of the two leaders is. It's like, yo, do I want a tyrannical that gets it done, or do I want somebody that lays off and maybe I can push myself. Maybe there leaves some room there, but at the end of the day, everybody was all about results. And we can, I know we're going to get into the end of the episode, but if you look at it, everybody was like, yeah, I guess Michael was the asshole, but I was like, it still meant something because we were winning, winning carries all. It still meant something. It's like, yo, well, yeah, it was hard on us, but I get it. We couldn't have got through that without somebody like Michael there. So Scotty was between a rock and a hard place, but that's where they diverged a little bit. And it was tough seeing it because we know what Scotty wanted to be. But Michael, with his competitive nature, with the way he addressed his teammates, he got it done. Not saying that was always going to be the best way to do it, but he figured out a way to win 6 championships, being the leader and the shot caller of that team.
Yeah, and he said, winning has a price.
Yeah.
Saying it's going to result in championships, but it does have a price at the end of the day. And although he pushed and pulled on his teammates and challenged them night in and night out at practices and whatnot, he feel like he, earned the right for that. And
Yeah.
you were right as well too. It's kind of like Jordan was, the main teacher that you had, and he got a little sick for a little bit. So the substitute teacher came in for a while. Pretty cool and whatnot, but you still don't get that 100% respect from him. And
Yeah, you
he
don't
just
learn
don't
nothing.
hit home for you like that. You don't really learn nothing like that. So kind of makes sense as well too. So episode 8 started off. So it always goes back and forth, going between each individual season with the championships, and obviously it focuses on primarily the 97-98 season. So it started off May 3rd, 1998, and it was the second round against the Hornets. So this is when DJ Armstrong, I guess, who was a former point guard, I guess he got traded or he was a free agent. He was a point guard now for the Hornets. And
Yeah.
he was feeling himself, you know what I'm saying? He said that he knew the system. And basically, I think the first game, they kind of shocked the Chicago Bulls. And he got all in MJ's face. And MJ, he always finds a way to motivate
Sleeping giant.
himself. Yeah, sleeping giant as well, too. So DJ Armstrong kind of had an out-of-body experience. Like I say, he knew the system and whatnot. They stole the W from him. And all the teammates on the Hornets, they were like, yeah, once we got in Jordan's face like that, we kind of knew that it was a wrong idea. And that was just crazy because they ended up coming back. And I think they were up 2-1. No, they won game 2. Then in game 3, DJ Armstrong was only held to 3 points, which was
Yeah.
crazy. And I won the series 4-1. But one thing that kind of stuck out in my mind was someone going at Jordan's face or going at Jordan was in 1993, the Bullets were up and coming team. And basically there was a guy named Brad Smith who no one really knew of, but they knew he had potential. He ended up scoring, I think, 37 points against Michael Jordan. And I think the Bullets at the time ended up winning. And they happened to be playing each other on a back-to-back night. So after the W, Brad Smith goes up to MJ and he's like, "Good game, MJ." Jordan internalized all that. And he was just like, "I'm going to guard him tomorrow night. And the same amount of points that he scored on us, 37 points, I'm going to match that in the first half." He didn't match it, but he scored 36 points in that half. And it's just crazy how when you truly want to be great, you just always find ways to stay motivated. So it's just kind of crazy how he just always found kind of ways to reinvent himself, to remotivate himself in different ways. Speak on that a little bit.
It's funny because what scenario was that we found out that he made it up? He made the good game one up, or he made the one about the Charlotte up? It was one of them.
He made the Bullets one up, the good game.
Yeah, the good game up, and it was so funny because they talked about it so intensely. Like he just came up to MJ, and MJ went back, and he was like, "Yo, why'd you do that?" And, it was so funny because this teammates were probably like, "Yo, why'd you do that to MJ?" And then he was probably like, "Yo, I didn't do it." And then and then the next night, boom, dude drops 37 points on him. I think it's something we can really take away. Being, in the phase that we are in life, everybody listening, me and you, or even, older, you never know when it's your time to pop, but, it takes consistency. There's days when we get up and we're like, yo, why am I doing this? Why do I need to do this? There's
What's the
days,
point?
there's like, days like, yo, we got a pod today, or you know what I'm saying? But it's always like,
Yeah.
let's make a way. Let's make a way. Let's motivate ourselves. Like, yo, I've been really diving into you were talking about All the Smoke, and I really dove into All the Smoke. I dove into Knuckleheads a little bit. I'm a big Joe Budden person, a big Jamil Hill person. So I've been listening to them and just seeing what they do, where they came from, and how they carry conversations, how they address guests, and once we do get there, because we'll get there soon. We'll get there soon, where we have good arenas up here and stuff like that. It's like, yo, what motivates you? What? And even if there's not something you can't find to motivate you, make something. Let's do it. Let's get it done. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's just and it's tough because this speaks to his greatness, because you're always sometimes not always in a position, but Jordan taught us how to do it when we are at a level and we should sustain greatness, and not only sustain it but get better. So it's always like anything that he let entertain, any loss was always trying to put a chink in his armor, trying to see if the God bleeds, stuff like that. Was like, bro, you're at a level you shouldn't even be concerned with this stuff. So it's like, all right, cool. You got something on, you got someone on me. All right, maybe I had a bad day. All right, maybe this presentation wasn't the greatest. Maybe we fell flat on a podcast, one of that. All right, but well, we're gonna come 10 times as crazy, no matter if somebody told us to go 10 times as crazy, or we have to make something up and be like, yo, let's get it done. Let's put the wheels on the road and get it done. And I think that's just a huge lesson, bro. Always motivate yourself. Always find a way. There's so many motivating factors. So use your imagination, get it done, and become
Use
the
your
greatest you
imagination.
can be. And Jordan was an alchemist with that. It was crazy. Like it's scary how competitive he was, even when it's like, yo, like that didn't happen. All right, I got you. Come in. The craziest thing is the scenes that got me the most in these last two episodes was anytime they will be talking about Jordan and they have Jordan in like the training room and he just be chewing gum and like side eyeing or like looking up at something. He were like, yo, like, what's going through his mind right now? And then they'd be like, well, Jordan dropped 37 before that game. Or Jordan proceeded to go and lead his team to sweep in the series. Or he would go and when they finally beat Orlando after that season when he was coming back, and then they beat Orlando the next year. And he remembered it. He scored 45. You're like, oh, 23 is not. I mean, 45 is not 23. Dude scored 45 in the last game. That's so crazy to me. And he just be in the locker room, just side eyeing, chewing his gum. It's like, what is going through this man's head? You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's big time for me. It's big time motivating. It's like, yo, if you can just get a piece of that, a piece of that.
Mm. Yeah, for sure, for sure. So we harped on it a little earlier, but he ended up coming back March 18, 1995. So it was a couple games left in the 94-95 season. And he actually returned against the Pacers, which kind of foreshadows the last dance in the 1998 Eastern Conference Finals with them as well, too. So he felt a little nervous. He said he felt naked because he had his dad not there. Like you said, he kind of put together winning with his father as well too, because that was his ultimate role model as well too. So another thing as well too, he wanted to wear number 45, and to him it signified a new beginning. He started off 0-6, and I think they lost 103-96. But then 6 days later they went up against the Knicks, and he went for 55. The historic double nickel game as well too. And then that year, they said they felt like he didn't really have his legs back and whatnot, because getting in shape for baseball is completely different getting in shape for basketball as well too. Yet alone taking 18 months off was doing something different. So they ended up losing to the Magic as well too. And then he was just motivated. It kind of reminded me of kind of like Victor Oladipo. Obviously, Victor Oladipo is no MJ, but that day that Victor Oladipo won 7 games against LeBron James, his trainer was basically like, let me know when you want to start working out. And he was like, yo,
Tomorrow.
we working out tomorrow. So after, MJ lost to the Magic, he was like, yo, we about to start, working out ASAP as well too. So it's kind of crazy how what you were talking about a little earlier when you were saying, I think Horace Grant, one of the Magic players, was saying 48, 45 ain't no 23. So he kind of took that to heart, and that's when he started wearing number 23 again as well too, because he was like, even though I wore number 45, it just never felt like me, you know what I'm saying, which is crazy. And that season, it was kind of wild because obviously, like, your full-time position is, being a basketball player. But that season, August of 1995, going 95-96 season, that's he was also filming Space Jam as well too.
Yeah.
And this is some gangster shit because they built him his own gym for Space Jam, and they called it the Jordan Dome, which is crazy. But he said he spent that whole summer constantly thinking about losing to the Magic, was basically drooling at them out, trying to envision him beating them. So they say he reconstructed his whole body. And they got new additions like Luke Longley, Dennis Rodman, Steve Kerr. And that was crazy because he felt like he needed to play with up-and-coming players, these young cats, to truly get back into the grind of things. So he said that was probably one of the best off seasons that he has, well too, and he can kind of tell that he was in shape. And then once training camp started, that's when he had the whole little infamous practice with Steve Kerr, where they're basically egging each other on back and forth. And I think Steve Kerr, him, we see Steve Kerr nowadays, and he breaking 2-3 clipboards a game. So he said he got mad because he's competitive. Obviously, he's not as good as MJ, but he got mad. So I think he punched or pushed MJ in the chest, and MJ like smacked him or punched him in the face. And he said that was kind of like the best thing that happened ever, because from then on, he said that was so crazy. He said that was the best thing that happened ever, because that was a year. That's when we got the vintage 95-96 Bulls team that went on to be 72-10. And that's when they came with their whole slogan, "It don't mean a thing if you got a ring. Just because you won 72 games, your end goes and win championships. So if you don't win, then who really cares?" And that kind of just made me think of the Golden State Warriors. Like, dang, y'all really dropped the ball like that as well too. But it was kind of crazy as well, because that same season, he had ties with George Karl, and they're talking about how he knew him from UNC, with Dean Smith, playing golf and whatnot. And I guess before the final started against the Seattle Supersonics, he saw George Karl at a restaurant, one of his boys, well, I think with Ahmad Rashad, And it was
Yeah.
crazy how George Carl, everyone know him for being an asshole a little bit, didn't acknowledge him at all. So that kind of added more fuel to the fire with him. And he was like, all right, you're not going to acknowledge me? I'm just going to bust your ass. So they ended up winning the series 4-2, but they went up, I think, 3-0. And that's when Gary Payton came on. Gary Payton was basically saying, like, I kind of should have guarded Michael Jordan from the jump. George Karl's whole philosophy was how to kind of do with players nowadays, with there's a lot of switching going on and whatnot. But we're not going to
Yeah.
necessarily push you on our best player the entire game, because that's going to wear you out, because we not only require you to defend at a high level, we also need you to score the basketball as well too. So it's kind of interesting how George Karl never wanted to do that from the jump, but from game 4 all the way till game 6, that's when they essentially started to guard each other more. They kind of Gary Payton kind of said that it kind of bothered MJ a lot as well too, and MJ had the footage looking at the iPad saying there's no chance that he was going to stop me as well too. But it was kind of crazy how the Seattle Supersonics ended up winning 2 games straight, which kind of makes me think, like, do you think if Gary Payton guarded Jordan from game 1 all the way up until whenever the series would end, do you think that would have gave Seattle Sonics a better chance at winning that series? Or do you think, it was going to go 6-7 games regardless, and the Chicago Bulls are going to win?
Um, I think it would have been a bit different, just because you first get you get that first look of probably what was the most successful strategy with kind of trying to contain Jordan with Gary Payton the glove for a reason. But it's so funny because the dude doesn't stop competing. Even and they showed him the thing is like, this is what Gary Payton said, and he laughed and he was like, I had no problem with Gary Payton. And it speaks to he's still playing mind games and still competitive now. He's not gonna admit, oh Gary, Gary gave him a little bit of trouble. Now he's like, I had no problem with him. He laughed like he was, watching some kids do something stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like America's Funniest Home Videos in his hand. And so I could imagine what he would have internalized in the series. Like, what you don't know with MJ. It's like, it's like him passing down judgment. It's like, well, he could have, took it and they could have got away with Gary Payton guarding him for that first game, and then he could have messed around and heard the media, and then he could have turned up and swept them somehow, because he got pissed off and just went crazy at Gary Payton. But I think that they did it in that kind of the transition and the adjustment in the series. Michael didn't internalize it as much. He just kind of was still like, all right, let's get this done regardless. Gary Payton doing all this stuff, whatever, let's get it done. And he got it done. But boy, like it's kind of scary to say. It's like, well, if they would have started him on it, I think he would have heard media and he would have just turned up somehow, because that's what he was. He was like, he's plot armor to like the 10th degree. He's like, all right, so you think Super Saiyan three's nice? Well, wait till you see Super Saiyan God. And wait till you see Super Saiyan. It's like, yo, how many forms does this dude have? You never knew. You never knew how many forms Michael Jordan had, because he just like real life, bro. It's like, don't piss him off. You can't beat Goku half to death, because Goku is just gonna turn back up on you. So Michael Jordan, yeah, bro. I don't see that making much of a difference, just because he's so insane. Like, it's like, play the mind games, bro. He was obsessive, and what rings a bell to me is he and two things, and then I'll close it. He he was like, yo, it wasn't all sunshine and rainy. Like when they were talking about training camp, he's like, I had to show these guys what was good. Like I had to let them know, like, that didn't mean anything. We didn't do anything last season. We didn't win a championship. So I wasn't here the whole season, but yo, we didn't get anything freaking done. So come on, we have new players. I need to let them know what this is. I need to assert my dominance. I need to let them know, like, this is not going to be easy. So really, and it talks about preparation in all things. Right. So, we have stuff that might be coming up. We have a plan that's going to come up in 6 months, or, we have a 1-year plan, 2-year plan. Right. And the NBA season spans about 9-10 months almost, So I know everybody says, our training camp's preparing you for the season, and then boom, we got to get in playoff form, stuff like that. Michael Jordan was literally preparing them for playoff mode in training camp, which is kind of ludicrous to me, because nowadays it's like, all right, training camps for like, we're gonna get ready for the season, and then we'll get really in playoff form after the All-Star break and stuff like that.
Only Kobe was doing that.
Only Kobe was doing that, but he was literally, which was probably made it so hard for these other guys. They come in training camp and it's like, yo, we're gonna have some fun. It's like lock away. We're gonna, training camp, go hard at practice, play dice all night, play cards all night, have some fun during the season, stuff like that. Yes, that's what kind of happened. But at the same time, Mike was like, no, we didn't do anything. We didn't do anything. So I'm gonna make sure from day one we're prepared for the last game of the finals that we play. And that's how it all came together. So from a preparation standpoint, it's like in my life and your life and everybody's life, it's like, all right, if we're going to prepare for something, we got to prepare like it's the most intense thing on the first day so we can weather the storm and get to that goal, in our darkest days and our lowest moments when the most adversity is coming. On top of that, in episode 7, what got to me was at the end of the episode, he teared up. Dude teared up. He was like, all right, break. He was like, yo, he's like, this is how much it means to me. It means this much, like the competition, the preparation. And that, seeing him break down, maybe it was a combination of that being the episode about his father and this, that, and the third, but seeing him break down just from it didn't seem like it was about him. All the headlines were always about him, but he was like, yo, like, how could you not like me for me trying to help you achieve a goal? And we achieved those goals freaking out of we was like in the Bulls like 10 seasons or something like that. Or
Yeah.
so we achieved those goals 60% of the time, which is nobody could ever say that. Nobody could ever say that. Nobody, I mean, maybe like Bill Russell or something like that, but in this era of basketball, nobody could ever say that. Like, how could you be mad at me? How could you make a assumption? How could you make a storyline about me and I'm producing results? Like, even if we didn't disagree as teammates, even if you said, oh, yo, Michael wasn't really the most personal person, but I came in and I did my job, and they saw him outside the court. They hung out with him, but on the court, he did his job. That was what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to get into you, supposed to lead you. Then they won championships, and he teared up at the end of the episode. I was like, yo, like, that's how obsessed you have to be about your goal, or obsessed you have to be about something sometimes just to get this job done. So, yeah, man.
For sure. And it's crazy. Question for you before we go into a new topic in under a minute.
Yeah.
From Jordan sitting out basically 2 seasons, so obviously a full season, that's when Houston won. And then when he came back and wore number 45, switched to 23, Magic beat them, Houston won again. Do you think Jordan would have won, Jordan and the Chicago Bulls, that organization would have won those 2 championships if he stayed? Obviously, you have to consider health and whatnot, but barring any major injury, do you think he just would have won those?
I think so. That first Orlando team was cold, though. We didn't speak about that, but that Orlando team, Shaq, Penny, Horace Grant, all of them were cold. I think
they were cold, but when MJ worked on his shit, they got swept.
Oh yeah, they got swept. They got swept. So I have to side with the GOAT. I have to side with the GOAT. I think it only enhances his legacy that we saw him kind of getting burnt out, and he came back refreshed and ready to go again and sharp. So I think everything happened for a reason, and it happened and it worked out in the GOAT's favor. But yeah, I think he wins it. Just the way he dealt with the league, the way that we gave a lot of shit to Jerry Krause, but he was really doing a damn good job with that Bulls team.
Hell of a GM.
Even the team that Michael came back to, they were ready to go. So, but all they needed was that one piece, and thank God that one piece was Michael Jordan. How convenient. But I think he would. I think he would have won those championships
for sure. And then in under a minute, tell me about that defining moment, the very last scene. Like, what went through your head when you saw MJ winning on Father's Day, which was kind of a coincidence, Game 6 against the Seattle Supersonics, and him just crying? Like, what went through your mind when you saw that?
It was surreal to me. I didn't have too many thoughts. It was just kind of like, it was shocking just to see him on the ground crying, see people trying to kind of like console him and stuff like that. But I think it's something you try to achieve. I looked at it, and for me, it felt like I was at the bottom of the valley looking at the mountaintop in a way, because it's like I've achieved some stuff in my life. I've achieved goals, but just that kind of like adversity and stuff that I've been through, I think I will be faced with those type of challenges when I, find ultimate purpose and this, that, and the third. But just looking up and seeing that, it was like, yo, like that's crazy. That's what it feels like, just to put everything into something and achieve it. And the emotions and stuff, it comes to a boil, and it's like, yo, that's that's crazy. So it was like me looking up at the mountaintop, surrounded in clouds. Like, all right, I gotta get there. We'll get there. So that's how it felt.
For sure, for sure, for sure. Um, just want to give a shout out. Adam Silver, basically the headline saying Adam Silver prepares NBA players for challenge ahead. So NBA Commissioner Adam Silver prepared players for a potentially grim landscape amid the coronavirus pandemic, suggesting there are no guarantees when fans could fully return to NBA arenas next season. Silver said that 40% of the league's revenue comes from money built around game nights in arenas. In quotes, this could turn out to be the single greatest challenge of all our lives, Silver told the players. ESPN acquired an audio replay of the National Basketball Players Association call, which included Executive Director Michelle Roberts, NBPA President Chris Paul, and several players asking questions of the commissioner in an hour-long session. The tone was respectful, but Silver was asked some hard questions about safety issues, return to play ideas, how future seasons will be affected, and the financial realities of future salary caps and basketball-related income. Silver said no decision on returning to play this season needed to be made in May, nor immediately into the start of June as well, too. And then also they say Silver said returning to play the season at one or two potential sites, including Orlando and Las Vegas, made the most sense. There's no point in adding risk for flying all of you city to city if there's not going to be fans. Silver said, we think it will be safer to be in a single location or two locations to start. Also said, the goal isn't to have you go to a market for 2 months to sit in a hotel room. Then they also said here, the CBA was not built for extended pandemics as well, too. So, I mean, in the gist of everything as well too, I feel like the biggest takeaway from this is just something new that we're going to just have to figure out, and we're going to have to take it day by day. And I mean, I think they're doing everything they can to try to figure out things, but we really don't know. And then, like I said too, if fans aren't going to be in attendance, and that's 40% of the revenue from game nights, maybe that does mess up the salary cap. Maybe players do have to take a pay cut. So that kind of sucks as well too. And I'm really trying to figure out like what's going to happen moving forward as well too, because that's a huge thing. And my whole thing was, I know the NFL season about to start and whatnot, but obviously we have this system intact with, being 6 feet away from each other. Do you think there would be something where, obviously, let's say, for example, there's 18,000 people in a average arena, do you think they would space people out and you like have to buy tickets in accordance? Do you think they would go with the option with that to not fully? Because I mean, it sucks not having fans itself too, but I feel like if you can, in a way, practice social distancing and just have at least half or 1/4 or an eighth of fans there, I think that's better than nothing.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you have to sacrifice. So if it does come to that, cool. Um, I think even bigger is that, all right, the league does come back. They do package the games in a certain way, and they're shown without fans. And this might sound like a dumb question because like, oh, everybody wants to see the NBA, but like, what is going to be the incentives for the fans to return to the games if they do package it, without the fans? And there are going to be diehard fans there. People are going to be ready to come back to the league and stuff like that. But I feel like there's going to be a portion of fans that are going to be like, you know what, it's safer. No matter what, let us stay here. Let us, they gave us an experience and we're going to watch it, but why do I need to go back to the games? Why do I need to be there live and in person? And they're going to, at least going to have to figure that out coming down the stretch too. It's like, how do I promote the in-person experience again? How do I, and maybe that's the individual markets, but the league within itself is going to have to come together and like make a real push to get people all back in those seats once it is determined that God willingly we can go back into saying, oh, I can be closer than 6 feet away from people. So I think that's going to be a challenge within itself. I think the two sites would be good. If they really want to get it back rolling at a certain point, or maybe have summer league or whatever like that, and then figure out the whole other main season at a different time. But I think there's more obstacles to come than just getting back on the regular season court. We're
Yeah,
thinking about revenue. We're thinking about salaries. There has to be like a war, not wartime, but I'm saying wartime because it's a tough time, but it has to be like a hard time plan. All right. Say once we get through this, then we can figure this out. But we have to, figure out how to take care of people, be safe, and fund ourselves during this specific time, because if not, then we're not gonna have a time post that.
for sure, for sure. And then a couple, obviously they've been easing the quarantine lifestyle with everything as well too, certain states as well. So I think they say here, I think the Cavs opened up their facility, and then the Portland Trailblazers opened up their facility. So basically it says Kevin Love made the 20-minute drive from his home to Cleveland Cavaliers practice facility Friday. Basically it said blah 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 blah. So basically he got in the facility, and he basically said it was the longest I've ever gone without shooting a basketball. Love told ESPN on Friday. So I didn't care. I just wanted to get some shots up. And then it says the Cavaliers became one of the first teams in the NBA to reopen their practice facility for voluntary individual workouts. Nearly 2 months since the league went on a hiatus in response to the coronavirus pandemic. Friday was the first day the league allowed it, so long as the team's local government had loosened its shelter-at-home guidelines and the team was following protocol. The Portland Trailblazers also opened their doors for individual workouts Friday, and 9 of the 11 players currently in Portland area rotated throughout court time. And then it said, Love 31 said when he arrived at Cleveland Clinic courts in Independence, Ohio, he was screened before entering the facility throughout a designated side entrance. Asked us a few questions. He said how we're feeling, if anybody had been sick in the house, if we've been sick, if we've been basically adhered to all the guidelines that are put in place, not only by the NBA, but state to state. And then they also said the 5-time All-Star also had his temperature taken a log. Any player who was showing a fever would not be given access. And then once inside, each player had his own half court to work out on an assistant coach, one-on-one with assistant coach wearing a mask and gloves accompanying him to pass and rebound.
It's
And
crazy.
another quote was saying, latex gloves make your hands sweat more than I ever knew. One Cavs coach told ESPN a text message. Definitely took a little to get used to with the gloves, but definitely the safest technique right now if you want to think about it as well too. So I like the steps that they're taking. At the end of the day, you can't live in fear forever, and
Mm-hmm.
life has to go on as well too, and people have to eventually, which sucks, get back out into the world as far as being in the job market and whatnot as well too. So I feel like if they're taking the proper steps, like we just said here, they're using latex glove, people coming in certain time slots doing a one-on-one workout, one half of the court, the other person on the other half of the court. If you're doing that, then I think you're going in the right direction as well too. So anything else you want to add to that?
No, other than this is a hot take, but
Okay.
I think we have to be very wary and very vigilant to what we're intaking on the media. And I think we should protect ourselves as a community, as, good neighbors to each other. But we very much need to hold ourselves accountable for what we intake the news and be also very realistic on certain stuff now. And we need to hold people accountable. For one, we need to I think it's kind of, yes, people are, passing away over this virus or whatever, but we need to, demand certain answers, because I think at this point it's been so far fetched. It's like, I'll ask you and then I'll leave it at that. But it's like, what are the symptoms of the coronavirus? And
Yeah.
you don't answer. It's a rhetorical question, but think
Okay.
about it. Think about it. Think about where we came from and where we are now. And the precautions that we're taking and everything like that. But it's just like, wait, what are we protecting ourselves from again? And maybe I'll get grilled about this and stuff like that. But what exactly are the precautions and what is the nature of this thing? What do I exactly need to do? And if not, or if so, why is there a mass fear and hysteria tactic associated with this thing? And I know it's taking people's lives, but why is it being portrayed a certain way in the media? That's all I'm going to say about that. But we need to protect each other for one. Two, be very vigilant and be very cautious about what we intake and the information we believe. So.
Last thing I want to talk about, we can wrap it up, literally give a minute spill, 2 minute spill, and we're done here. Zion Williamson made headlines the other day, and basically the title is Zion Williamson asked to admit parents receive money gifts from Duke, Nike, and Adidas. Attorneys representing Zion Williamson, former marketing representative, and her company have asked the New Orleans Pelicans star to admit that his mother and stepfather demanded and received gifts, money, and other benefits from money benefits from persons acting on behalf of Adidas and Nikes, and also from people associated with Duke to influence him to sign with the Blue Devils and wear Nike or Adidas products. Williamson, who played one season at Duke before becoming the number one pick in the 2019 NBA draft, sued Gina Ford and Prime Sports in June in an attempt to terminate his marketing agreement with her company. Williamson's attorney claimed the contract was in violation of North Carolina's Uniform Athletes Agents Act because Prime Sports is not certified by the NBA Players Association nor a registered athlete agent in North Carolina or Florida. Ford and Prime Sports Marketing sued Williamson Creative Artists Agency and two of its employees in Florida court the same month, alleging the CAA interfered with Prime Sports' deal with Williamson and that he breached their 5-year contract. The lawsuit seeks $100 million in punitive damages as well too, and then basically going on about what exactly they want the Williamsons to admit as well too. But any thoughts on any of that?
Kenny Lofton, you feel it my pace. They only care about it when he's still on the base. It's like Wilt, but still I'm in a mall. They only care about it when I'm dunking a ball. Shout out Cole. But my biggest thing, and I almost tweeted about this yesterday, but who are rich, and I won't go into color, but who are rich people
Majorities.
to rich majorities to comment and have an opinion about money that a young black brother that has never really touched money is making. And I won't even make it about that, but this sounds like somebody that's just pissy that they didn't get paid or whatever like that. One, the NCAA is scrambling because of it's a system that has already been flawed, that they don't want the kids to make money, but the top players are going to make money regardless because these top shoe companies that are funding your leagues are making money already. And two, one, Duke's not going down. Duke's the creme de la creme of college basketball. The NCAA could not punish Duke because they're already being punished because kids are bypassing the NCAA right now. So when you punish somebody, you're gonna punish yourself for doing wrong. Wrong makes wrong. You know what I'm saying? Two lefts don't make a right. You know what I'm saying? Don't make a right. And it blows my mind. It baffles me. And these whistleblowers that are clearly in the depths and in the mist and just as hands just as dirty for people, they're saying it's cheating, whatever like that. No, somebody's trying to make sure their family's good. That's all. Basketball is basketball at the end of the day. As long as he's not taking performance enhancing drugs, whatever that. He's a freak nature athlete. He's gonna get paid regardless at some point or getting paid up the line. And it's been happening for years and years and years. The top players and these shoe companies and these schools already know about it, bro. Like, shut up. Like, that's all. Like, I'm sorry you didn't get paid. You maybe attack it a certain way, but you whistleblowing and saying, "Oh, he demanded that," being a snitch, bro. Like, you're dismissed because that
we off that.
Your hands are already dirty. You know what I'm saying? It's the pot calling the kettle black, dude. And I don't blame the kids for taking money. I take $1 million if somebody like, yo, you know what? You can go to VCU and you can make $1 million when you go into VCU. What you trying to do? All right, bet. Like, and I'm gonna go to the league the next year, and y'all can talk about it later. But I'm gone. I'm gone. That's all I got, bro.
That's hilarious. But
That's all I got.
ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 79 of the Seezus Show. Any last remarks before I give the full exit?
Nah, to all the moms out there, we love you. If you ever fed me, we love you. Shout out to all my people out there doing very big things. You know, graduating seniors that are persevered through this tough time. Everybody hold your head, be very vigilant, and you know, think for yourselves. Other than that, man, shout out to the moms, episode 78, 79. 79. We almost there, baby. 100. When we get to that 100 episode, how you gonna act? We got 20 episodes in 100. You gotta be something crazy. But that's here nor there. But yo, episode 79, man. Thank you guys for listening.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard Traded XXIV. Make sure to subscribe, rate, comment, share on all platforms. The Seezus Show, Sir Seezus, and Traded XXIV. We out.